30%. That is the number staring me in the face from this stack of research.
It's a big number.
According to the source material we're covering today, 30% of the global population is going to suffer from a mental health disorder at some point. That's, what, 1 in 3 people you meet?
And that's just the global average. If you narrow it down to the demographic that, usually listens to this show, entrepreneurs, executives, high performers, the perception is that the number is way higher.
Right, which brings up that old cliche, the whole torture genius thing. Is that real? Do you actually have to be a little bit off to be successful, or is that just a myth we tell ourselves to feel better about being miserable?
That is the exact knot we are trying to untie today.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive into an extensive interview and notes from Mikhail Tetushkin. He's a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, with something like 25 years of experience.
And what I like about his angle is that it's almost entirely biological.
Exactly. He looks at the hardware of the brain. He's not trying to sell you a meditation app.
So here's the mission for this deep dive. We need to decode the difference between, say, I'm just having a rough month, and actual clinical depression. We're going to break down a specific tool he uses called the Schulte table.
Which I had never heard of before this.
Me neither. And we're going to have a potentially uncomfortable conversation about biohacking.
Oh, yeah. The microdosing crowd might not love this deep dive. But Tetushkin's perspective on what he calls information intoxication is, I think, a really necessary counter-narrative to that whole limitless fantasy.
Let's start right there then, information intoxication. Because, when I think about what causes a mental health crisis, I usually think of big trauma.
Sure, like a bankruptcy or a divorce?
The big explosions. But reading his notes, he suggests those aren't the main problem anymore.
No, and that's a massive shift. He calls those things car explosions, and he says they're statistically rare. They make for good movies, but they aren't the daily reality. The real killer today is the volume.
Sheer amount of data.
The doubling rate. Listen to this. Historically, the volume of information in the world used to double every 10 years.
Okay, that feels manageable.
Right. It gave us time to adapt. Today, it doubles in less than a month.
Wait, hold on. Less than a month. So we're running Stone Age software on hardware that hasn't been upgraded in thousands of years, and the data stream is doubling every few weeks.
That's the perfect analogy. And he calls it intoxication because it mimics poisoning. Your brain's primary job is to filter things out so you can focus. But when the volume of important data becomes a tsunami, the filter just gets clogged.
So it's not just that the news is bad, it's that the news is heavy.
It's heavy, and processing it consumes massive amounts of glucose and energy. It creates this chronic, low-level toxicity that just wears you down.
So does this environment make entrepreneurs, I don't know, crazier than the average employee? Is there a biological truth to that stereotype of the manic founder?
He tackles this head-on, and his answer is fundamentally no. There's no special founder gene for mental illness.
So everyone's got issues.
Everyone's got issues. The billionaire, the guy at the front desk, we're all swimming in the same toxic data stream. But, and this is the key part, the cost of the dysfunction is vastly different.
You mean the financial cost?
The systemic cost.
Right.
If an employee is suffering from, say, mild depression, maybe they're 10% less effective.
Okay, it's manageable. The company absorbs it.
Right. But if a founder or a CEO is 10% less effective, that's a botched merger. That's a toxic hire that ruins the team. That can be millions of dollars in losses.
It amplifies all the way down.
A 10% drop at the top can destroy the entire organism. So the entrepreneur isn't crazier, but their crazy is a lot more expensive.
There's also this paradox in the notes about freedom. Most people start a business to be free. But Tetushkin seems to suggest that freedom is actually what breaks people.
It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does. Shouldn't doing what you want make you happier?
You'd think so. But it's about the cognitive load of choice. As an employee, your life is pretty constrained. Be at work at 9, pay the mortgage, follow the rules. It's safe.
The path is marked.
Exactly. Now the founder,
Mhm.
infinite variables. Should we pivot? Fire this person. Expand to Asia. The freedom of choice increases the cognitive load exponentially. You are literally paying for your freedom with anxiety.
Okay, so the environment is hostile. The question is, how do I know if I'm a casualty? Because everyone has days where they feel burnt out. How do you know if it's just a Tuesday or if you're clinically depressed?
This is where we have to open the diagnostic toolkit, and he gives
Yeah.
us a very specific rule of thumb. It all comes down to one word,
Time.
the timeline rule.
One bad day is normal. Even one bad week, that happens.
Hmm.
The red flag, according to him, is a consistent state lasting for more than 1 month.
1 month. So if I've been feeling off since last Tuesday, I shouldn't panic.
Probably not. But if it's been 5 weeks and you just can't shake it, that's when you pay attention. And he breaks it down into what he calls the depressive triad. 3 pillars.
Okay, what's pillar one?
Low mood. And this isn't just sadness, it's apathy, a flatness. You just don't care about anything.
Pillar two.
Low physical activity. This one really hit me. He gives an example of a truly depressed person needing to gather strength for 2 hours just to wash their face.
Wow. That's a powerful image. It's not laziness, it's a physical heaviness.
Like gravity has doubled. And pillar 3 is low cognitive activity. Brain fog. You read the same email 5 times and it just doesn't sink in.
Speaking of cognitive activity, he mentions that specific test, the Schulte table.
Yeah, it's a classic diagnostic tool, basically a stress test for your attention span.
So describe it for me. What does it look like?
It's a 5x5 grid, 25 squares. Inside are the numbers 1 to 25, all scattered randomly. Your job is to find them in order 1, 2, 3, as fast as you can.
Okay. And what's a good score? How do I know if my brain is working?
For a healthy, high-performing adult, under 45 seconds is good. If you're taking over a minute, that shows significant exhaustion. But the real test is the stamina part.
You do more than one.
You do 3 in a row. A healthy brain gets faster on the second and third try. It's warming up.
And if you're burnt out?
You crash. Your first one is 50 seconds. The second is minute 10. The third is a minute 30. That curve shows your mental stamina is just gone. You're running on fumes.
That is so actionable. I feel like everyone listening is going to go Google that right now.
It's a way to get objective data instead of just, I feel tired.
Okay.
He also mentions sleep disruption, specifically waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. and not being able to fall back asleep.
Right. And the mechanical performance of life.
Yeah, this is a subtle one. You go to work, you eat dinner, you even have sex, but it's all mechanical. There's no pleasure in it. That condition is called anhedonia. If you have that, plus the brain fog, plus it's been over a month,
Yeah.
you're in the red zone.
Okay, so let's say I'm in the red zone. I did the table. I'm clocking 2 minutes. I need help. This is where the interview gets controversial because he has a very strict hierarchy of who to call first.
And it's not who most entrepreneurs call. He argues your first stop must be a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist who is a medical doctor.
Not a coach, not even a psychologist.
No. His logic is you have to stabilize the biological floor first. If your neurotransmitters are totally depleted, talking about your childhood isn't going to help. You physically don't have the resources to process it.
It's like trying to install new software on a computer with a melted motherboard.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Fix the hardware first. See the doctor. Stabilize the biology. Then see the psychologist to do the cognitive work. But he gives a very strong warning about coaches.
I found this part intense. He said, seeing a success coach when you're clinically depressed can actually be dangerous.
It can be. A coach's job is to push you. Pull yourself together. Just do it.
Yeah.
For a healthy person, that's motivating. But if you have zero internal resources and you get pushed,
You snap.
you rupture. You collapse completely. It's like telling someone with a broken leg to run it off. You're causing more damage. You need a doctor, not a cheerleader.
And when you say doctor, we have to talk about medication. There's so much fear around that, especially the zombie effect. I'll lose my edge. I won't be me anymore.
He calls the zombie fear a myth. Modern antidepressants, if prescribed correctly, don't do that. They restore your baseline. But he also busts the other big myth about how they work.
The idea that it's just low serotonin.
Yeah, the I'm a quart low on happy juice idea. He says that's nonsense. It's not about volume. It's about receptor density and a whole cascade of reactions. He points out that the meds raise serotonin in days, but you don't feel better for a month.
Why the delay?
Because your brain has to physically rebuild neural chains. The medication promotes neuroplasticity. It helps your brain grow new connections around the damaged pathways. That takes time. You can't rush biology.
That's so important to hear. We want next-day delivery on mental health.
And that impatience leads right into the next danger zone he talks about, biohacking.
Oh, boy. The limitless fantasy.
It's a huge trend, using stimulants, microdosing, anything to gain an edge. He sees it as a form of biological debt.
Let's start with stimulants, cocaine, amphetamines, that sort of thing. He has a financial analogy that every business owner will get.
He calls it a high-interest loan. When you take a stimulant, you're not creating new energy. You're forcing your body to unlock its emergency reserves.
You're borrowing from tomorrow to pay for today.
You're borrowing from next week.
Huh.
And the interest rate is predatory. The crash comes with exhaustion, panic, and he mentions heart attacks in 40-year-olds. It's a steep price.
What about psychedelics? You know, the Steve Jobs on LSD stories? Everyone's looking for that big breakthrough.
Katiushkin uses a brilliant analogy for this, the kaleidoscope.
I loved this visual.
He says using psychedelics is like taking the kaleidoscope of your mind and shaking it hard.
Yeah.
The pieces might land in a beautiful, new, insightful pattern. You might have a breakthrough. The pieces might also land in a chaotic mess, psychosis. You can't predict where they'll land. Plus, there's a huge survivor bias.
We only hear the success stories.
Exactly. We hear from the guy who started a billion-dollar company. We don't hear from the guy who ended up in a psych ward, because those people aren't writing memoirs.
He also mentioned a condition called HPPD.
Hallucinogen persisting perception disorder. It's rare, but it's real. Visual snow, flashbacks, glitches in your vision that just never go away. Imagine trying to run a board meeting when the walls are breathing.
Yeah, hard pass. His message is that every hack has a tax.
Biology always collects its debt. Always.
I want to pivot to something a little deeper. The listener brought up Shaquille O'Neal playing worse when he wasn't anxious. I think a lot of us have this fear. If I cure my anxiety, will I lose my edge?
It's a valid fear. If you've built your whole life on adrenaline, taking it away feels like disarmament. But he cites this mouse experiment that's really illuminating.
The ones with moderate stress.
Yes. The mice in a total Zen paradise became lethargic. The mice in high-stress cages burned out and died young. The ones who lived longest and performed best were the ones with moderate stress.
So we need some friction.
We need friction.
Yeah.
Positive stress. We just don't need crippling depression. His point is, you don't have to be miserable to be effective. Misery usually just makes you sloppy in the long run.
This connects to bipolar disorder, too. It feels like that's the diagnosis of the moment.
He pushes back on that hard.
Yeah.
Says it's massively overdiagnosed. He reminds us it used to be called manic depressive psychosis, which sounds a lot scarier.
Much scarier.
Because true mania is scary. It's not just having a productive week where you clean the garage.
So what is it?
It's a total disconnection from reality. Dancing for 24 hours until your feet bleed, thinking you can solve all the world's problems while your own business is burning down.
So if I'm just moody and productive, that's probably not it.
Likely not. Most people self-diagnosing are just experiencing emotional volatility. True bipolar is a serious condition, not a productivity hack.
So if we strip all this away, what does actual health even look like?
His definition is beautiful in its simplicity. He asks, how do you know if your liver is healthy?
You don't feel it.
Exactly. You don't walk around thinking, wow, my liver feels great today. It's silent. It just does its job. He says a healthy psyche is the same. It's invisible, it doesn't hurt you, and it doesn't annoy the people around you.
Wow. It doesn't annoy others. That's actually a really high bar.
It implies you're regulated enough to be a good partner, a good leader. You aren't a burden to yourself or your environment.
This has been a heavy but necessary deep dive. What's the one big takeaway for the listener?
The takeaway is that there's no magic pill. Medication can be a tool to stabilize the floor so you can stand up, but you still have to do the work. You have to sleep. You have to manage the information flow. You have to respect your own biology.
And stop looking for the limitless pill.
Please. It's a movie, not a documentary.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought. If you are relying on anxiety or substances to drive your performance, ask yourself a hard question. Are you actually high functioning? Or are you just burning the furniture to keep the house warm?
That's the question, because eventually you run out of furniture.
On that note, I challenge everyone, go find a Schulte table online, test your cognitive stamina, and if you need help, call the doctor, not the coach.
Call the doctor before you run out of furniture.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next one.